Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
Cooper Flagg made his NBA Summer League debut to mixed results. Also, LSU Football landed ESPN's #1 player in the nation. And Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence, he's due for a huge bounce back this season.
I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
We got our first glimpse of the #1 overall pick, Cooper Flagg, and I guess he's just not very good. I guess that's what we're going to do. No, come on. Nick Angstad from Locked On Mavs joins me now. And Nick, okay, it was not great. 5 for 21 on the stat sheet. What did you make of our first glimpse at the #1 overall pick?
Bust. I mean, just like Nico Harrison, I thought I knew the vision. I don't think I know the vision anymore. I don't think I know the vision anymore. The thing about Cooper Flagg in this game was that he showed the arsenal of the types of shots he can get, the types of shots he can get off. He was able to post up. He was able to hit turnarounds. He was able to leak out in transition. He was able to get steals and run out for dunks. He was able to do a whole lot of different things. And that's the thing about Cooper Flagg is he can do a lot of different things. We've heard from so many different Summer League players, coaches, scouts, different people across the league that have come in contact with him and talk about his versatility. I think we saw that in his shot selection and the shot, even though they just didn't go in. And the other thing I think we saw from him was the ball pressure from the Lakers, just over and over again, double teaming, like sending help, trapping. Like they were worried about him at all times. So even if he didn't shoot well, in Summer League, right? And, I mean, he's the best player here. He's also the youngest player on this Mavericks Summer League team by 2.5 years. So like, try to put that together.
And so look, like, what are you gonna want to see in terms of growth, evolution? Are you just like you're in Vegas, you're watching the games? Are you just there for the vibes? Like, what do you want out of the Summer League for the Mavericks to feel good about where the team is moving forward here? Because look, Cooper Flagg is an incredible talent. I don't think anyone's gonna freak out about 1 or 2 bad Summer League games.
I don't know. There are some accounts on Twitter right now that are making it their mission. No, I think from Cooper Flagg, you want to see him handle the ball. That's the big mandate that the Mavericks decided to give him is that, hey, we're going to make you handle the ball. Jason Kidd mentioned it. Jason Kidd mentioned in his opening press conference, and only 1 turnover, Peter. Yep. Like that's the big thing is that all the ball pressure I mentioned before, he only had 1 turnover, wasn't fazed by any of it, wasn't rattled by any of it. There was so much energy in this room. It felt like the Victor Wembanyama debut. I was here for that in Summer League as well, and there was just as much hype. The entire Mavericks team, like there's literally more Mavericks not here than here, were sitting on the sidelines. You had the Mavs owner, Patrick Dumont, Mark Cuban was here. The whole Mavs coaching staff was sitting in the row below me. Like there was just so much hype for this game. Savannah James was here, LeBron's wife, and everybody in this room, like probably 60% were Lakers fans cheering for Bronny anytime he got the ball. And so just the hype around the game, to see Cooper Flagg not rattled and to see him play his own game, I think was good. I'll take that.
Yeah, and so, okay, well, help us level set expectations here for Cooper Flagg in both Summer League and then as the start of the season, because it's going to be an adjustment for as good a prospect as he was. It's going to be an adjustment period in the NBA.
He can do a whole lot of things. And a lot of times with these guys that can do everything, it takes them a while for all those skills to reach the NBA level. I don't think that's going to be the case with Cooper Flagg. I do think there's going to be some clear things he's going to be good at. He is all of 6'9". He looks like a big player on the court. He's going to be able to do a lot of the hustle things, rebound. He got that basically game-winning block at the end of the game. Like his defense is going to stand out a lot. You are not going to be able to attack him very much. The Lakers barely tried to attack him at all. I don't think Mavericks fans are used to not seeing their #1 player get attacked on defense very much. So that's something that is very different.
Did Nico Harrison take over your body there for a second? What happened?
His hand is up my back and he is like moving my mouth with his. I'm now a puppet. That's what I am now.
The defense is something that I don't think has been talked about enough with Cooper Flagg. He is and can be an excellent defensive player. You mentioned the essentially game-sealing block. Summer League, not usually the best place to see defensive impact unless you're 7'6" like Victor Wembanyama and no one wants to go near the rim at any point. But do you think we're going to get to see more glimpses of that? He had a handful of steals in this game as well.
I don't know that we're going to be able to see Cooper Flagg again. They keep saying day to day. They keep saying that we'll see. The rumor is that Mark Stein reported is that he's going to play 2 games, and that's usually what guys play. But I mean, we've even seen VJ Edgecombe drop out of some games here with his little thumb injury. So we'll see what happens with Cooper Flagg next. But for him going forward, yeah, I mean, his defense is better than his offense, arguably, and that's kind of incredible to say. The player that just looked like he was the best offensive player on the court at times tonight, and so that's something that I think going forward, watching his defense, seeing how dominant he is, it'll change the way that the Mavericks can play defense, and that's why a lot of people are really high on their defense, considering that Anthony Davis is still going to be the best defender on this team, and now you're bringing Cooper Flagg into that environment with Derek Lively as well, other good perimeter defenders. It's going to be an interesting little group there.
You can stay up to date all year on the Dallas Mavericks by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Mavericks on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Your Locked On Sports Today. Coming up, LSU lands the #1 high school football player in the country, Lamar Brown, and Trevor Lawrence is going to rebound in 2025. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drink, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes it possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch. And they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and the lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed. When you're on a team, you might want to stay loyal to your team. Former Toronto Maple Leafs forward Ryan Reeves learned that lesson last night. See, Reeves raved about the great city of Las Vegas to former teammate Mitch Marner, who signed with Vegas earlier this month. I guess Toronto management didn't love Reeves' comments. Their response? Well, they traded him to the NHL's worst team last year, the San Jose Sharks. Hey, at least Reeves gets to play in the same division as Vegas. In Major League Baseball, the Red Sox stayed hot with a 4-3 win over the Rays. Boston has now won 7 straight, kid.
The Red Sox are finding multiple ways to win games now, which is completely flipping the narrative from the first half of the season. I'm Gabby Malgenian from Locked On Red Sox, where we just watched the Red Sox win a tight 4-3 game against the Tampa Bay Rays. And the narrative of the first half of the season for the Red Sox was they always find creative ways to lose, and they specifically lost a ton of 1-run games. And they were down 3-1 in this one tonight, and they rallied back in the bottom of the 7th inning to score 3 runs and take a 4-3 lead that they ended up holding thanks to Garrett Whitlock and Aroldis Chapman stepping on the mound in the 8th and 9th innings respectively. And it's just been so fun watching this team as of late. The adjustments that they've made on offense, not swinging for the fences as much and just swinging for contact, has been great to watch. And if they keep playing like this, I'm pretty confident in their ability to make the playoffs. Tune into Locked On Red Sox on any podcast platform for more on this team.
The Orioles swept the Mets in a doubleheader 3-1 and 7-3, and the Cubs got back in the win column with an 8-1 victory over the Twins while they look at the Brewers in the rearview mirror.
What's the best medicine when a team has 2 really tough offensive games and loses both? PCA. I'm Sam Olber from the Locked On Cubs podcast, and in the first 2 games of this series, the Cubs combined for 1 extra base hit as a team. On Thursday afternoon, Pete had 3, 2 of which left the ballpark. Right now, to date, as of today, PCA has been the MVP of the National League. I know Ohtani's the big favorite. I don't know what will happen the rest of the year, but right now, as we are just a little bit before the All-Star break, I believe Pete has been the MVP. Also, full credit goes to Colin Ray. 7 strong innings, 1 earned run, lowering his ERA to 3.91. He's been huge for the Cubs with all these pitcher injuries. I know he's had some ups and downs, but he's done his job. Cubs avoid the sweep and now head to the Bronx for a high-profile series against the Yankees to close out the first half. The Cubs haven't won a road series in a long time, since about a month plus ago in D.C. It would be a great time to win one and finish the first half strong against the Yanks.
LSU football just picked up a massive win on the recruiting trail. The Tigers landed ESPN's #1 recruit in the country, Lamar Brown. Brown chose LSU over Texas A&M, Miami, and Texas. Locked On LSU host Matt Moscano discusses this monumental land.
Lamar Brown, the 5-star #1 player in the country as determined by ESPN, the #7 overall player in the country in the On3 composite, the #1 athlete in the country. He has picked LSU over Texas A&M. Massive get for Brian Kelly and the LSU staff for so many reasons that we're going to delve into. We are live. If you're with us live, thank you for being there. Smash the like button on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and drop your comments, because we will get to a lot of your comments coming up here in just a bit. So I want to go through a little bit of the background here and what we learned, what we know, and what we think Lamar is going to project at LSU, and had a chance to visit with Andy Martin, his head coach at U-High on Wednesday. He's going to give you a little more perspective on Lamar, the player that LSU is getting. So Lamar Brown is listed at 6'4", 285, but you're going to hear from Andy Martin here in just a quick second. Lamar's actually pushing 6'5", 300 pounds. They just weighed him in over at U-High. So he's up to 300 pounds, but he carries that weight so well. He was at one point rated as the #1 interior offensive lineman in the country in this class. But throughout his process, basically everyone determined that Lamar Brown, they'd let him play whatever he wanted to play on the college campus. So Lamar determined that he wanted to play defensive line. So LSU, in an interview I did with Lamar in studio a few months back, it kind of surprised me a little, because he was still listed at that point as an interior offensive lineman, but that he wanted to play defensive line. And when we saw him out there at spring, he wasn't standing, spring football, when he was at LSU practice, he wasn't standing watching the LSU interior lineman. He was watching the ends with Kevin Peoples. So at 6'5", 300 pounds, he still projects at LSU as an edge, which is a little wild, because you think about a guy like Savion Jones, who was a big edge for LSU at 280. You're talking about a guy now that's 300 pounds looking to play on the outside. But when you're that athletic, you're going to play wherever you want to play. And it's also significant because of the timing. Like, there's a lot of things that matter here. Keeping the best players in state home, beating out Texas A&M, and I'll get to that in a second. But the timing matters, because remember, you lost Swinson and Jones from last year's team. So you went into the portal this year and you got Jamari Butler and Patrick Payton and Jack Piber, and you went and got these 3 veteran players to help you on the edge. And the first two, the 2 deep that we saw at spring, were Pyburn and Relaford and Payton and Butler. I mean, those were the first 4 we saw in their rotations. Well, 3 of those 4 guys are going to be gone. So when you look ahead, I mean, yeah, you brought in a guy like Damian Shanklin, and you're very excited about him and his prospects moving forward. You've got a guy like Kalaj Cobbins, who's a little smaller, but coming into, hopefully coming into his own as a smaller edge. But going into 26, Relaford's the only guy you have that's going to have significant playing experience going into 26. So the door and the path to the field immediately is wide open for a guy like Lamar Brown at his size and ability. Think about this past year, how, a guy like Ahmad Bro immediately was in the rotation at defensive tackle, and Dom McKinley would have been, but for the foot injury. But when Don McKinley was healthy, he was in there and part of the rotation in the second half of the season as a 5-star true freshman. So provided Lamar Brown gets to LSU, is healthy come week 1 for 26, you would figure he will be part of a rotation. I don't know if he's going to be a starter as a freshman and play 70 snaps a game, or 50 snaps a game, but is he going to be part of a rotation? That opportunity is definitely there immediately in 2026. Yes, obviously, beating out Texas A&M here is significant. The biggest, air out of the balloon moment ever at the Bayou Bash, on the old signing day Bayou Bash, was when the late, great Joe McKnight picked Southern Cal over LSU. And it was, it didn't matter what else happened the rest of the day. It was such a highly touted guy that everyone had followed his recruitment for so many years and wanted Joe McKnight so desperately. And then he had that maroon sweater on. And he picked Southern Cal. or Garnett, I guess, or whatever. But the thing about Joe McKnight not coming to LSU is you never saw him again, right? He went to the West Coast, he played at USC, and you never had to see him. It's far more devastating when Devontae Smith from Meade goes to Alabama, right? Or Arch Manning goes to Texas, and you're gonna. Well, I mean, you haven't run up against him yet, but Landon Collins going to Alabama. I mean, Alabama's kind of been the bugaboo, but that's sort of the disappointment is when when a player goes to a place that you want, and you have to face him every year. You have to face that player. Had Lamar Brown picked Texas A&M, and this was an LSU Texas A&M battle. It was down at Texas and Miami had hats on the table, but this was down to LSU and Texas A&M. Had he gone to A&M, you were going to have to see him every year. And that's really the disappointment if it plays out that way.
Stay up to date all year on LSU football by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On LSU on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, Trevor Lawrence is set up to have a big 2025 for the Jaguars. 2 seasons ago, the Jaguars were in the AFC divisional round with a young franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. Since then, both the team and Lawrence have underachieved. But Locked On NFL host Tony Wiggins believes Lawrence and the Jaguars are ready to have a monster 2025.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are not as bad as their record was last year. And Trevor Lawrence is not as bad as a lot of people would make y'all think. And I know I got on my man David Harrison yesterday about being biased about his Washington team. And I know people may assume that that's what I'm going to do here. I'm not. For those who aren't in Jacksonville, I discussed this early on my show, but I'll tell you now what I said. They had a bad offense coordinator, a bad offensive line coach, a bad GM, and a coach that had kind of checked out, in my opinion, because he was just hell-bent on doing things his way, right? The old school way. I think Doug Peterson's a nice dude. Turns out a lot of people didn't like his form of communicating. They just didn't like it. There's a lot about the situation, though. I think a lot of that, too, had to do with Trent Baalke's presence. That's just my opinion. But when you look at it, their running backs got hit faster than any running backs in the league. Trevor has more drop passes since he's been in the National Football League than anybody. Everyone wants to just focus on the fact that he also has more turnovers, not interceptions, but turnovers, because he fumbles sometimes when he's running. That is another. He's running for his life. He also can't stay healthy because he's running for his life in the past. They added 4 offensive linemen. Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr. can bring the gas. They get De'Ami Brown, right? They totally revamped 75% of the tight end room. They signed 4 offensive linemen in free agency and they drafted another one or 2, right? They improved their defense that's going to give them the ball back more so they can get halftime of possession. And then they added to their running back room, which is a pretty decent and talented room. And now you add Liam Cohen. You add all of that alignment. You add them giving answers pre-snap. You add a more rhythmic offense. You add teaching in so things can translate from the practice field onto the game.
Look, I don't make a habit of disagreeing with Tony Wiggins, so I'm not going to. I think Liam Cohen has the goods. I think Travis Hunter, as a receiver, can be special, and I think Brian Thomas Jr. is already special. Trevor Lawrence has needed some better infrastructure. He has been beset and beguiled by a nightmarish collection of coaches and play callers. That changes. And now you're adding elite blue chip talent for him to throw to. This is the year. It has to be the year. He looks like the number 1 overall pick, the guy that was worth paying $50 million a year to. And if he doesn't, there are going to be a lot of questions, and they're going to be worthy questions. They're going to be fair questions about just how good Trevor Lawrence is and can be. And finally, Seattle. Swept in the Bronx by the Yankees. Last night, the Mariners had a 5-0 lead in the 8th inning. They're going to salvage the series. And then the ghosts of the past came through once again. Austin Wells tied the game in the 9th with a 2-out, 2-strike single. Anthony Volpe scores the winning run by an inch. One of these days, they'll come through in the Bronx. Just won't be now. If you're catching this episode after hearing your favorite Locked On show, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Also, if you're a new subscriber to Locked On Sports Today, we're here for you with the biggest stories in sports every day. Coming up, could a salary cap be coming to Major League Baseball? So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
For more episodes of Locked On Sports Today, go to our video on demand. Click on sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.